I'm Rob Chase, and I'm from Spokane Valley in the 4th District, and I've been involved in politics since the mid 90s when I got the internet. And reading the internet, I was learning a lot of things that I had never learned in civics class or heard on TV before. And then I realized, gee, our country is kind of in trouble. And so I got involved and I ran against State Senator Bob McCaslin as a libertarian back in the year 2000. But it was kind of fun. And then I got 5%. And then he became one of my mentors. And then I ran for Congress after that. And my issue then was, we shouldn't be going into Iraq. It's going to be Vietnam 2.0. And in retrospect, I think it was. But here, I love being involved in politics. I never knew what to do in life. And then when I got into politics, but I was later in life, then this is probably what I should have been doing. So I wish I had started earlier. But I am kind of like a history buff, and I've always read about these things. I just always thought everybody was lawyers or something that were in office. And I had seen that movie, The Paper Chase, in the 1970s. I don't want part of that. But it is a lot of fun. You actually have people like lawyers that are writing your legislation for you. Just give them the gist of your idea, and they'll make it copacetic with all the RCWs. And I really enjoy. There's kind of like a camaraderie, I think, or even an affection between all the representatives on either side of the party, which is really you don't see in very many groups. Well, I'm focusing on, I got involved in Spokane Fatherhood Initiative, and 90% of the guys that are in jail or prison had no father figure, or else they had an abusive father, or had no father at all in their lives. And so what we do is those guys, they've lost, for whatever reason, even visiting rights with their own children, and then suddenly they want to set things straight, stop the generational sin of not having a father for their own kids, and then so they get busy trying to at least get visiting rights, or even custody. So there's a bill I'm working on, 50-50 co-parenting, but unless there's extenuating circumstances where it would be dangerous to the child. But I think that would be parity or fairness, to the father, because a child needs both a father and a mother, ideally. So I'm working on that. I'm working on bills like that. I'm also working on voter integrity bills and maybe expanding borders within our state to autonomous regions, like the state of New York is trying to do too. So I'm just working on that to see if it's even feasible. But there's a lot of things I do represent my constituents on. Voter integrity, of course, was high in the 4th District, and also the whole COVID thing too is people want medical choice. They don't want to be dictated to. So I got involved in that. In fact, when I was here, my previous session, I was only allowed on the floor for 5 minutes in 2 years because I didn't take the vaccination. And I'd already had COVID. I didn't understand that. But I guess what bothered me a lot about it was just the censorship, I read Robert Kennedy's book. I might have been the only person in the legislature that read it. It was a huge book, but it took me 3 months to read. But it's very well documented, too. So I think everybody should be allowed their freedom of speech. Well, I mentioned the Spokane Fatherhood Initiative. I took all of their classes and try to go to them if they need someone just for, I don't testify or anything, but I just go with them to court, knowing that there's someone there that's on their side. And I also got involved with Spokane River Keepers, too. I think that our urban rivers they're kind of like the jewels of the different towns, the cities that do have urban rivers, and we can't really restore those rivers. It would take probably an ice age or two to actually get them back to where they were when we first came over, but you can rewild them and try to introduce especially native fish back again. So I didn't get on the wildlife committee. A lot of people want to be on that committee, but still I'm working on with a Democrat a bill to at least allow the tribes to harvest the seals that are eating, killing half the catch that comes up the Columbia and eventually the snake too. So I think that could be a win-win solution for not just the tribes, following the 1855 Walla Walla Treaty, where they can take salmon from the rivers. If there's no salmon, then you're in violation of that treaty. but also saving our dams too. I think if you could actually grow the catch, and you could do that, by doubling the amount that actually come up the river, then that's more than sustainable, and that would, the farmers be happy. You don't have to breach the dams and irrigation and shipping and everything. It would all work together.